Hello there, good evening and a warm welcome to the 9 p.m. news bulletin on the most prestigious channel in Sri Lanka. Bringing you your top stories for tonight, I'm Lakshita Dirisinghe.
And I'm Kenza Farooq. Let's take a look at your headlines for tonight.
Review process for the 6th IMF tranche commences. The World Bank commends the economic path of Sri Lanka and clarifies the importance of restructuring. Dividends amounting to more than 757 million rupees from state businesses of the Ministry of Industries to the Treasury. Sri Lanka rejects the proposals by the UN Human Rights Council. A host of information regarding fraud on internet. Police requests the public to be on alert. Appeal of Julampitiya Amare rejected. Supreme Court upholds the death penalty. A new machine to remove water hyacinth presented by a youth from Mahaweva. 2 years completed since the massive attack by Hamas organization on southern Israel. On to those and other stories in detail. We start off with the top story for tonight. President Anura Kumar Dissanayake held discussions with an IMF delegation during the 5th midpoint review meeting held today at the Presidential Secretariat prior to the issue of the 6th tranche. President Anura Kumar Dissanayake reaffirmed that the International Monetary Fund remains a vital partner in Sri Lanka's accelerated journey from crisis to recovery, emphasizing that the government regards IMF support not merely as external assistance but as an integral element of its comprehensive strategy for sustainable economic progress. He stressed that the government's reform agenda is focused on achieving long-term stability, inclusive growth and investor confidence. During the discussions, the IMF delegation commended Sri Lanka's reform progress, noting that the country's economic reform program is yielding commendable outcomes. They highlighted that reforms are bearing fruit with economic growth outperforming expectations, foreign reserves strengthening and fiscal revenues improving. The President further emphasized that to maintain the government's projected growth targets, it is imperative for Sri Lanka to exceed the targets set by the IMF, which requires a strong inflow of foreign direct investments. Ensuring robust infrastructure and a conducive investment environment is vital for sustaining growth. The IMF observed that the measures taken by the government to rebuild the collapsed economy. Both parties further discussed the measures to be followed in the future. Meanwhile, President Anura Kumar Dissanayake met Chairman of the Asia Infrastructure Investment Bank, Jing Lee Kun, and senior management of the bank. They held a lengthy discussion on the progress of the projects implemented in Sri Lanka so far under the loans provided by the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. The chairman of the bank said they will act cooperatively with Sri Lanka continuously and extend support for the advancement of the country. Further, he expressed the willingness for support for the stability in power and energy. Accordingly, priority will be focused on green energy, green transport facilities and other relevant sectors.
Now, meanwhile, according to the World Bank, the Sri Lankan economy has reflected a strong improvement in every category. It also points out that the present economic reconstruction program has to be continued in order to maintain this success properly. The report prepared by the World Bank on the present development process of Sri Lanka was launched today. The World Bank economic specialists presented their views at a media briefing held in Colombo in this regard. The report has a forecast of a 4.6% economic growth by Sri Lanka during 2025. The renaissance in the industrial sector and the strong improvement in the service sector have been mentioned as important facts in this regard. The World Bank representatives also mentioned that a low inflation rate and the increase in remittances have become positive factors in this success story. The report added that poverty still remains at a high level and there is a strong necessity to properly maintain the economic reforms.
So coming to the recent developments and the outlook, we see that the economy continues to recover with 4.8% growth in the first half of the year, marking 2 years of expansion since mid-2023. This has been led by the recovery in household consumption, which has majorly driven growth. High-frequency indicators have continued to show continuous improvement. Cement consumption has increased year on year, which is a good sign for the industry. At the same time, this remains below pre-crisis levels, so what was visible pre-2020. On the external sector, the balances have remained resilient. The current account balance has been positive so far in the year, driven mostly by tourism and remittances, even though merchandise trade deficit has widened compared to previous years.
Governance and ownership, there has been good progress here. The emphasis is really in continuing these reforms, especially around the state-owned banks, to ensure that there's sort of sustained financial sector deepening, as they'll be critical for providing credit and supporting the growth of the economy. And you've already seen some of this increased liquidity among state-owned banks, which has helped. I think it is a challenging context. We do in the report note the fact that obviously these tariffs have risen. There's a box in there that we explain that ultimately Sri Lanka has ended up relatively well against its peers. So in terms of sort of comparative competitiveness should be maintained. But from the numbers and what I mentioned when I came in, we certainly see there'll be a drag on growth going forward, these elevated levels of tariffs, and you can see the increase in export growth is relatively flat over the next couple of years. I think the other thing to think about is, just globally, if there is more of a downturn, that will also affect exports besides just the tariffs. It can also have an impact on tourism numbers coming to Sri Lanka. You've seen this incredible rise over the last year or so in tourists visiting, so that is a concern. But I think at this stage, though, we can look at Sri Lanka's macro strengths in terms of its fiscal buffers have been rebuilt. On this external side, we expect a surplus there. So I'd say both on the external and the fiscal side, there are some buffers now, which at least gives some confidence that whatever comes in terms of the external environment, Sri Lanka is in a position to see this through. So we don't expect a sharp drop in growth, but at least at this stage from our assessment, growth should trend towards 3.5-3% over the next few years.
The Convention Against Doping in Sports Bill was passed in Parliament without amendments. The second reading of the Convention Against Doping in Sports Bill took place in the Parliament today. The proposed legislation aims to further strengthen Sri Lanka's legal framework in the global fight against doping in sports. The second reading of debate on the Convention Against Doping in Sports Bill was held from 11:30 am to 5 pm today, and the bill was passed without a division and amendment. The bill was presented in Parliament for first reading on September 12, 2025 by the Minister of Youth Affairs and Sports, Sunil Kumara Gamage. This bill is intended to amend the Convention Against Doping in Sports Act No. 33 of 2013, aligning Sri Lanka's anti-doping legislation with international standards, the statement said. The World Anti-Doping Agency annually monitors the laws and regulations on doping in sports in Sri Lanka, and accordingly this bill aims to amend the existing act in accordance with the laws and regulations of the World Anti-Doping Agency to bring it in line with the needs of modern sports.
Minister Ananda Vijaypala said that the government is committed to ensure the security of retired presidents. He points out that the recently passed Act to repel entitlements of former presidents does not cause any effect to their security. Minister Ananda Vijaypala said that since Bill of the Repeal, the entitlements of former presidents was passed in the House recently, some former presidents have returned some of their perks they entertained. According to the provisions of this bill, former presidents are not entitled for special security. Therefore, even some bulletproof vehicles used by them have been returned. However, it is a responsibility of the government to provide due security for them. If the former presidents make a request again, the government is ready to consider them.
A dividend of 757.4 million rupees from the state enterprises that come under the purview of the Ministry of Industries and Entrepreneur Development was offered to the Treasury. Minister Sunil Hadunnethi and several others participated in this occasion. This dividend was contributed to the Treasury from the Lanka Mineral Sand Company, National Salt Corporation, Lanka Phosphate Company and Lanka Kahatagaha Graphite Limited. The chairpersons of the relevant entities handed over the relevant cheques to the Deputy Minister Anil Jayantha Fernando and Secretary to the Ministry of Finance Dr. Harshana Surya Peruma. It is significant that some of these profit-making state companies were continuously running at a loss in the past period.
The government says that it rejects the amended resolution HRC 60L1 submitted against Sri Lanka at the United Nations Human Rights Council. Issuing a communique in this connection, the government has stressed that it cannot agree with some major focuses included in the resolution.
Participated in discussions on this resolution in a spirit of open and constructive engagement demonstrated throughout in our interactions with this council. We appreciate the core group's engagement on amendments proposed by Sri Lanka. We, however, regret that we couldn't find agreement on certain key concerns for us. We thank all delegations for their constructive participation on the draft text and particularly wish to thank very sincerely those countries which made positive suggestions during informal consultations and bilateral meetings. As we had indicated from the beginning to the core group, our fundamental issue with the text is the reference to Resolution 51/1 of 2022, denoting the external evidence gathering mechanism on Sri Lanka within the OHCHR, which in our view is an unprecedented and ad hoc expansion of the Council's mandate. During the interactive dialogue on 8 September, the Honourable Minister of Foreign Affairs reiterated that Sri Lanka does not accept the external mechanism set up by the OHCHR, labelled as the Sri Lanka Accountability Project, at a time when the government is continuing to strengthen domestic institutions based on its genuine commitment to reconciliation and human rights in the interests of our own people. These processes include strengthening the independent officers on missing persons and reparations and the Office for National Unity and Reconciliation, as well as the operationalization of a Truth and Reconciliation Commission and an independent public prosecutor's office. Sri Lanka, as well as many other countries, have repeatedly questioned the credibility and transparency of how this project within the OHCHR was set up, its work and the budget allocated to it. After 4 years of its existence, this council is yet to see any benefits of this project for the people of Sri Lanka. This is clearly evident from the contents of the High Commissioner's report as well. The extension of its mandate will only serve the interests of elements with vested interests seeking to create divisions and polarize the communities in Sri Lanka, and will be counterproductive to the government's efforts. We firmly believe that genuine nationally owned processes are best placed to address matters relating to human rights. National processes are rooted in the local context, allow for greater ownership, recognize unique sensitivities, and make implementation of action more efficient and effective. Within a short time, the government has taken a series of tangible and decisive steps on reconciliation and human rights. Therefore, it is only fair that Sri Lanka be allowed to seize this opportunity to advance the rights of its own people through domestic processes. For these reasons, we do not agree with coercive international action, and we reject Resolution 60/L1 Rev 1 presented to this Council.
The Supreme Court today upheld the death sentence given to G.G. Amarasiri alias Julampitiya Amare by the Tangaul High Court after being convicted of murder. This order has been issued when the appeal filed by Julampitiya Amare through his attorneys at law requesting him to be acquitted, which was rejected without being heard. The Attorney General filed a case in the Tangaul High Court against Julampitiya Amare and other defendants for killing 2 persons by firing at a rally of the Janata Vimukti Peramuna held at Katuwana in 2012 and injuring another person. After a long hearing, the Tangaul High Court convicted Julampitiya Amare on this allegation in 2019 and was awarded death penalty. The concerned appeal was filed through his attorneys at law by Julampitiya Amare requesting him to be acquitted by quashing the verdicts given against him by the Tangaul High Court and the Court of Appeal. The 3-judge bench who took up the appeal today ordered that it will be rejected without being heard, since it does not reveal a justifiable legal base to take it up for hearing. The Colombo High Court announced that the order regarding the preliminary objections filed by the defence regarding the case filed against former Minister Lakshmanya Abeyewardene and former Director General of the Investment Board Jayanthi Singha will be announced on the 10th of November when the case was taken up for hearing today. This case has been filed by the Bribery Commission alleging of an offence committed under the Anti-Corruption Act by causing a loss of more than 1.7 million rupees to the government by publishing supplements in 11 newspapers using the funds of the Sri Lanka Investment Board in 2014 to commemorate the 4th year of the second term of former President Mahinda Rajapaksa.
Now, police say that 3 suspects have been taken into custody in connection with a double murder occurred in a house at Wadigala area in Ranna Hangama. 2 persons have been chopped to death using sharp weapons early this morning. The deceased have been identified as 28-year-old male nicknamed Bopa Sindhu and his illegal wife. According to police, the deceased male has been accused of several murders occurred in the area. It is stated that he was under police custody earlier regarding a narcotic charge. Police further said that the victim is also a suspect over the murder of an individual at Ranna in the Hasgame area by shooting on the 6th of last March. The police are yet to reveal the cause of this double murder. Hangama police conducts further investigations.
7 students have been hospitalized after they have tasted a chemical substance in a laboratory. They were a group of male and female students of grade 7A at the Ratmalgahayala Junior School in Damulla. Among the victims are 5 boys and 2 girls. Our correspondent said that a group of police officers of the Damulla police has already visited the school for investigations. Accordingly, ASP MSK Vikramanayaka states that it has been reported that some talk monkeys intruded the laboratory and displaced items stored in it. The students have tasted a red-colored powder spread inside the lab, mistaking it for chili powder. The investigations conducted so far have revealed that the students have tasted a chemical substance used to identify iron particles.
Moving on, Sri Lanka police informs the general public to be on alert regarding financial irregularities and other frauds committed using social media via the internet. It further says that the people should be constantly enlightened regarding such information. Police is receiving daily complaints pertaining to various financial irregularities committed via internet using Telegram, WhatsApp and other forms of social media. It has been observed that in such cases, people have been cheated by obtaining their confidential information, including bank account numbers, passwords, QR codes, and requesting them to credit money to various accounts, stating that they will be provided with online job opportunities. The police also informs the public to refrain from using internet extensions and scan codes published by unknown people and social media networks. Another request has been made to refrain from permitting the exchange of bank details with unknown people and accrediting money to their accounts, and also permitting other persons to use those details. In addition, people should also take note of not permitting in establishing mobile applications forwarded by unknown people, and to be alert regarding safety devices and also permissions provided in electronic devices.
Under the new project One's Own House, Beautiful Life, houses constructed for low-income earning families are being handed over to the recipients these days. The project is being implemented island-wide. 5 housing units constructed under government assistance were handed over to 5 low-income earning families selected from Kaluthara, Millaniya, Bandaragama and Horana Divisional Secretariat divisions recently. The handing over of houses was conducted by the Minister of Health and Mass Media, Dr. Nalinda Jayatissa. The Minister also handed over the keys of houses constructed for 3 families at Venivelpitiya in the Millaniya Divisional Secretariat division, Yatiyana in the Bandaragama Divisional Secretariat division and Senapura villages. The other 2 houses have been constructed at Kumbuka East and Gonapula villages in the Horana Divisional Secretariat division. Colombo District Parliamentarian Aruna Panagoda handed over a house constructed at Romielma with the Panagoda Homagama at a cost of 1 million rupees yesterday. People's representatives of Homagama Pradeshya Sabha and a group of others were present on this occasion. Another house constructed at the Pahalhalmi 11 Nocheyagama in Anuradhapura was handed over to the concerned family with the participation of Parliamentarian Sena Nanayakara under the program to provide houses for low-income earners. The occasion was graced by the chairman of the Nocheyagama Pradeshya Sabha and others. New housing units are being constructed for 192 low-income earning families in the Gaul district. 8 such completed houses in Bentara Alpitiya area were handed over to the concerned beneficiaries with the participation of Gaul district parliamentarian Nishanta Pereira. 25 housing units are being constructed at Damana village of the indigenous people by the National Housing Development Authority, parallel to the World Habitat Day. A program to distribute saplings to those beneficiaries was conducted, led by Uruvarge Vaniletto recently.
A youth in Mahavavar, 31-year-old Shalila Heshan Disanaika, has invented a new machine to remove aquatic plants, including water hyacinth, commonly known as Japan zebra, that are rapidly spreading into waterways and reservoirs. Due to the invasion of water hyacinth and many other aquatic plants in many waterways and reservoirs, it has become a severe problem to use them in productive manner. These weeds also cause negative impact on the system of irrigational tanks and environment in the country. Usually, human labor is predominantly used to remove these weeds. Shalila Heshan has invented this machine as a proper remedy to solve this problem. He is a cycle repairing mechanic by profession. He has made this new machine with the help of motorcycle engine. He has also utilized a number of motorcycle parts for this invention. Water hyacinth and other weeds in the 175 acres reservoir close to the Mahavavar town are being removed successfully using the machine these days. He says that he also expects to invent another machine more effective for this purpose in future. He added that he is much obliged to if any person or institute assist him in this endeavor.
Minister of Health and Mass Media Dr. Nalindra Jayatish says that his endeavour is to direct his staff to provide the highest possible care service to the patients by properly managing the hospital system. The minister made this observation while participating in a function to award appointment letters to recruit 550 nurses for training. The function was held recently at the Colombo Post Primary Nursing School premises. Appointment letters have been awarded to recruit nurses for the supervisory diploma course and training courses of the duration of 1.5 years, targeting clinically specific full-time diploma courses and promotions. 177 out of these nurses have been selected on the basis of merit of the special competitive examination conducted by the Ministry of Health and Mass Media. Another 338 nurses have been selected for training on seniority basis. The minister added that plans are being implemented and a number of preliminary steps are taken to provide a qualitative and quantitative transformation in the health service during the next 3 years.
Now, the Deputy Minister of Health and Mass Media, Dr. Hansaka Vijayamuni, says that news being spreaded regarding the non-availability of needles used in dialysis of kidney patients in the government hospital system is completely false. According to the Deputy Minister, sufficient needles for this purpose are available in hospitals. Deputy Minister Dr. Hansaka Vijayamuni said that a delay occurred during the procurement of stocks recently, since the stock of needles had to be rejected. This situation has been rectified now and there is no problem pertaining to this. At present, the patients in a panic had reached pharmacies in search of needles as they were not available in the hospitals. These needles are being sold at a high price due to this reason. The needles are needed only for the dialysis in the hospitals. The minister requested the patients to attend hospitals since the necessary needles are available at present.
That's it on local stories. Stay tuned with us for news overseas. And in foreign news, today marks 2 years since the massive attack carried out by the Hamas organization on southern Israel.
On the 7th of October 2023, the assault claimed the lives of many and took several as hostages to the Gaza Strip. Across the country, Israeli citizens are gathering today to remember those who died and those taken hostage. On the 7th of October 2023, a massive attack by Hamas on southern Israel resulted in the deaths of around 1,200 Israeli citizens. Another 251 people were taken as hostages by the organization to the Gaza Strip. On this day, 2 years after the attack, foreign media have reported video footage showing Israelis across the country taking part in memorial events to honor those who were killed and taken hostage. In response to Hamas's large-scale attack, the Israeli army launched a war against the Gaza Strip, which, according to the Ministry of Health under Hamas control, has so far claimed the lives of more than 67,000 Palestinians. Reports indicate that indirect talks between Israel and Hamas are currently taking place in Egypt with an aim of reaching an agreement to end the Gaza conflict.
Thousands of people gathered in Jinju, South Korea for the dazzling Lantern Festival. The annual event runs from the 4th of October to the 19th in South Gyeongsang province.
During the festival, the Nam River is transformed into a glowing spectacle with thousands of colorful lanterns. Lanterns on land and water shaped like traditional dancers, dragons, dinosaurs and cartoon characters. Their bright lights create a dreamlike atmosphere, turning the riverside into an open-air gallery. Visitors say the festival is both fun and well-organized, with one first-time visitor praising the clean surroundings and lively mood. The festival dates back to the siege of Jinju during the Imjin War in the late 16th century. Back then, lanterns were floated down the river to send signals to Korean forces and to honor fallen soldiers. On selected nights, fireworks light up the sky, reflecting across the river and lanterns to create a stunning view.
In sports news for tonight, Sri Lankan players who showed their talents at the World Paralympics Championship 2025 arrived at the island this morning.
They bagged 2 bronze medals for Sri Lanka this tournament. The World Paralympics Championship 2025 was held in New Delhi recently with the participation of 980 athletes representing 100 countries. Sri Lankan player Nuwan Indika Gamage was able to claim the bronze medal of the long jump T44 category. His achievement was 6.46 meters. This is his highest achievement in this event during this season. Pradeep Somasiri of Sri Lanka was able to win the bronze medal of the men's 1500 meters event in the T46 category. He completed the event in 3 minutes and 53.77 seconds, setting an Asian record. Janani Dhananjana was able to record her best timing at the long jump event. Meanwhile, Buddhika Fernando also showed his best skills at the long jump men's event. Chairman of the Sri Lanka Paralympics Committee and the top officials of the Sports Ministry were present at the Katunayake Airport to welcome the athletes.
And finally, McLaren clinched the Formula One Constructors' Championship at the Singapore Grand Prix, while George Russell claimed an impressive second win of the season for Mercedes.
And away we go. That's an excellent start from George Russell and Max Verstappen.
Russell controlled the race from the front, holding off Red Bull's Max Verstappen in the closing stages to take the checkered flag. Verstappen finished second, with Lando Norris completing the podium in third. Oscar Piastri recovered from a slow pit stop to finish fourth, closing in on the leading group late in the race. His results contributed valuable points to McLaren's championship win and kept him in the title fight, though his lead over Norris has narrowed to 22 points with 6 races remaining. Verstappen is now 63 points off the top. A brief first corner contact between the McLaren teammates drew attention to the team's approach to on-track battles, but both drivers continued without damage to secure the result. The race was staged in challenging conditions, officially designated Formula One's first heat hazard Grand Prix, with temperatures reaching 30 Celsius and humidity at 72%.
And with that, we wrap up tonight's news bulletin. Do join us tomorrow for more of the very latest. Until then, good night.
Good night.